Here I have a new intake manifold gasket for an RB20DET, so now I can finally put the intake manifold back on to the car. I don't know about you, but I'm always using this copper gasket, sprayer gasket, which is it's kind of a glue between the metal and gasket. I don't know if it's necessary really, but it makes the gasket a bit more better every time, so that's why I use this. Right, the intake manifold is on. I still need to put the plenum on afterwards, but I was thinking that there's no rush to put it on. It's just a gasket and the plenum, and then there's the throttle body. So now I have plenty of room to work on the fuel rail, which I have the new radium fuel rail and the injectors and everything. So I think I'll leave it this way and work on the fueling system first and then put the plenum on. If anybody's thinking about the copper gasket, how it works, the copper, you know, the spray gasket that I put on the intake manifold, I have the residue of the intake manifold. I sprayed it on this, so this is all leftover gasket material, or that gasket glue. So if you want to see how this works, I'm gonna show you. So this is pretty sticky stuff, and I'm just gonna show you. This has been here for maybe a half an hour here, so it dries, but still after half an hour it's this sticky. So this is, like I said, it's pretty sticky stuff, and it makes your hands all sticky, and you don't want to spray it all over the engine when you're assembling everything. You want to have a cardboard backing like this and spray it on that. And like I said, it's very sticky stuff, so yeah, it's this kind of stuff. Now, these are injectors, and the previous owner has painted them with spray paint. I have no idea why, but I'm gonna make them look like this, and then I'm gonna paint them myself again. But first I need to blast them, and for blasting I need to cover these both ends so that none of that blasting material gets into the injector. Let's get to it. Right, they're painted now. I don't know if they look much better, but at least they have some kind of coating on, because these tend to rust also from the outside. So let's see what we can do with them. Now, if you know anything about anything, you know that this stuff is not cheap. When it says radium on it, you know stuff is about to get extremely expensive. Now this is a fuel pressure adjuster that it's gonna connect directly to the fuel rail here, and it's got this fitting that is an AN8 fitting on this side and another thread in here. But because you want to be able to adjust the position of your fuel pressure, this thing regulator, Radium has made a very clever system that you torque this fitting directly to the adjuster, the pressure valve itself from inside here, and then when you connect it to the fuel rail, you twist this, and as you can see, the center is not moving. So you can keep this in whatever place you want, and it's not moving. You just torque this down, and still you can rotate this however you want. It has many aux places, so here and here you can place sensors, like for say fuel pressure and fuel temperature, and then you have an outlet here. So this is the pressure side and this is the return side, and you adjust it from this thing over here, which is very snug, and it's the perfect solution from Radium to make the fuel pressure valve and regulator to fit very snugly and very neatly with the fuel rail. I'll show it to you in 1 second. So this is the fuel rail, and it's also naturally from Radium, and very nice piece. I mean, it's fairly simple, it's just basically a tube. But anyways, it has AN8 on both sides, so you can fit the regulator directly on the fuel rail itself. Now let's connect this fuel rail here, and then we can start wondering about the regulator or adjustment thingy placement. And Radium also sells a NA8 fitting gauge, manual gauge for fuel pressure, which you can connect directly on the fuel rail. I thought it looked kind of cool. I was this close to buying the gauge also, but then I thought that I'm gonna much rather put a sensor for fuel pressure for the ECU, and not a manual gauge, because with a manual gauge I don't think you really need it. It's just a fancy looking thing in your engine bay when you have Radium reading everywhere. But anyways, there, the fuel rail is on. And now we can start fiddling with this thing. As you can see, it fits very nicely. Very nicely. And now it's just missing the injectors from the fuel rail to the intake, and the fuel lines naturally. So this side is going to be the return side, and that side is going to be the pressure side. And yeah, I need to build those. Looks like we have a small problem, maybe, because this fuel pressure regulator, when it's on, I mean, you can rotate this as you wish. It's turned, it's torqued, everything is tight, but in the position that I would like to have it, it's not fitting with the temp gauge. I mean, I could place it like this, but I think it looks kind of funny. So I'm thinking now that maybe I should place this to the back of the fuel rail. I don't know, because I need these. And this can be in either side, it doesn't matter. So I maybe put the pressure side here, and a 180 turn for the fuel line, and the return side here, and the pressure gauge also. I mean the pressure adjuster here. So I need to switch that place. Alright, the fuel rail is on. The pressure side is going to be this side, and return side this, and I have the pressure, what's it called? The pressure valve, pressure adjuster. I don't know what it's called, but this pressure thingy on this side. So this is going to be the return side. Now I can take the fuel rail off, and when I put the injectors on the final time, then I need to replace the O-rings naturally to the injectors, and then build the return lines for the AN lines. Now, with this fuel pressure regulator with radium, I like this radium stuff. It's okay. I mean, it's not as good as I would hope, but it's okay. I mean, the fittings are tight, but you can still move this around, which is, I guess it's a good property. Also with the regulator itself, you can turn this any way you want. It doesn't lock into place even though the fittings are very tight. Now, a few things that I would like to show you about this regulator is that this is the air inlet, which is connected to your intake manifold. So when your throttle position is pretty much closed, you get suction here, so it raises or lowers the fuel pressure, and when you get boost, this rises the pressure of your fuel also. That's why you have a fuel pressure regulator. Now you fit this with these. You have many choices what you want to fit the air. So there's a AN3 line here. This is an AN3 for vacuum. Then there's a traditional pneumatic fitting, which connects to, I think this is a 6mm hose, so that's just a push on. And then there's a regular this kind of arrowhead looking thing, which can be connected to just a direct hose. And you get all these fittings and the plugs also with the thread locker, so you can plug all the unnecessary holes that you don't want to use. Like if you don't want to use a fuel pressure gauge or sensor here, or fuel temperature reading or anything, you have everything here. And if you don't want to use the regulator for air, there's a plug also for that. So pretty neat. And with the RB20 fuel rail, you get these new O-rings, because this fuel rail doesn't fit with the stock O-rings that come with the injectors. So you have to change to these. These are standard size, and the stock size for the O-rings are some kind of weird size that you don't really get from anywhere. So this is a good upgrade for RB engines. And in case you're wondering what I'm gonna use the pneumatic fitting. So this is a push-on fitting, and I know these are very, very good with air control. These don't leak. And it's a very simple choice also. You just push it on the hose and it locks in place. It's airtight, doesn't go anywhere. So you just screw this on here. Very small threads, but you screw it on like so, and you have your place for the fuel. I mean the air. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna use. And these I'm gonna just plug, because I'm gonna put my fuel pressure gauge, I mean the fuel pressure sensor, on the fuel rail itself. So I'm just gonna plug these unnecessary holes now. By the way, I didn't show you, but this thing also rotates freely. So even if everything is tight, still everything turns the way you want it to. So when I'm placing the fuel rail like this, I can turn this however I want, this however I want, and this however I want, and it doesn't affect the adjusting. So the adjustment is here. That's pretty neat. Right, so next I'm gonna I have the fuel injectors over there. I have all the seals, new seals for everything. The fuel rail is there, and everything is ready to be put on. So next I'm gonna just loop every seal. I'm using this multi-purpose grease, which is some kind of a lithium grease, I believe. And yeah, grease all the seals and put the put the injectors on, put the fuel rail on, torque everything down and leave it like that. So there's actually three seals or bushings or whatever with the injectors. If the camera would like to focus once again, there you go. So there's the O-ring that goes inside the fuel rail fitting. Then there's a rubber bushing between the injector and the fuel rail there. And then there's a final O-ring or a bushing that goes to the head like that, and this one goes directly into those holes that you see in the intake manifold, and it's all pushed against the intake manifold by 2 bolts, and that keeps all of your fuel pressure and the injectors in place, sealed and good. Right, so the fuel injectors are in. I don't think we ever have to take them out. Next time maybe I need to take them out is when I'm planning to do a major engine repair. Maybe next winter when I'm planning on taking the whole engine apart. But next I'm still waiting for some AN fittings for the fuel lines. But I don't have to do any more for the fuel lines, anything else than just hook up the pressure side and the return side, and then I can feed through fuel from the whole system. And the next phase is I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the AN lines for the fuel. Then when I have the fuel system ready, I can put the put the rest of the intake manifold on, so that's the plenum, and then the charge pipes and the throttle body. But now, since I have all the fuel system components available here, I'm going to do the electronics to look really pretty with the intake manifold. So let's do that next. So I'm running the GTR injectors in this car, so I still need the resistor pack for it. But all these electronics, all these fittings are brand new. I made everything new. They are just coated with numbers, number 1, and the fittings are brand new. So I'm still gonna put some assembly lube on these two because it helps with possible moisture. But yeah, I'm gonna bring these under the intake manifold and just bring them up where you can see them the least, and possibly turn the injectors also to reach the connectors better. So that's the way I like to do the injector electronics. So they come under the intake manifold and you can't really see them that much. I still have to figure out how I'm gonna attach the resistor pack somewhere maybe under the intake manifold so that you cannot really see it, but it's the least of my problems now. Alright, I'm fitting that everything still fits, and I know that this area was always a critical area in the engine bay. It was always very tight, everything was very close to each other, but now not even close, if this camera would like to. So, as you might see, not even close. Also this one. Yeah, plenty of room. Now I can still move this a little bit that way. So, but I don't know about this one. It doesn't really touch it. I mean, I'm trying to get the camera angle right so that you would see. It's not touching actually. See? Not touching. But they are pretty damn close. But anyways, it fits, and I might need to adjust a few things still here, but looks like it's gonna be fine. So the charge pipes are on, they are in the intercooler also. I'm thinking about ordering new silicones just for the color. I mean, they don't have any other purpose right now than to be the right color. I'm thinking about black, but I could also order them red since the upper radiator hose is red now. But yeah, I might order new ones. Not probably, but I might. I still have only 2 left in the engine bay. This one and that one. By the way, I didn't show you my ultra cool downpipe from the or the screamer pipe from the exhaust. This is the wastegate. So I'm running 2 wastegates now. One is the internal wastegate and one is the external wastegate, and it's gonna dump all the exhaust directly down from there and work as a screamer pipe. And they have some different, I think it's pretty close, the opening pressure, so I think I adjusted it so that this opens first and then that one if the pressure gets higher, so this is restrictive. But we'll see when I get this thing running. So everything is moving very nicely forward. I mean, this is looking very nice. I'm still waiting for some parts to get the fueling system okay. The intake is just with one bolt on, so I can remove it after this. But I'm gonna leave it there just for me to just to look at it and think about what it's gonna sound like and how it's gonna work when it's ready. Right, so with the radium fuel rail I have a generic problem. I have a hole here with AN8 fitting, and I'm supposed to feed fuel inside of that, and I have only a hose over here which is 8 millimeters, and then I need to return the fuel to that side from there, which is an AN6 fitting. Now, to do that I need one of these. So this is a fitting that makes with an O-ring AN8 to an AN6. So AN8 female fitting to an AN6 mate or male fitting. Then I connect this AN6 male fitting to a 180-degree turn like this, so I can get the fuel rail or the fuel feed coming from the other direction. I connect these two. Then this is an AN6 connector. Once again I connect a AN6 Teflon tubing with a braided metal sock on it, and then from the other end of this Teflon tubing I connect a connector like this one, which is a AN6 to 8 millimeter push-on hose. That's the only way that I can really get like with some kind of sense in it and making it look very tidy, very neat. I can get the AN8 fitting to AN6 and from there to an 8 millimeter hose. I know it might sound a bit complicated, but it's really not. Right, it's been a few days now. I haven't been filming much lately, but I have the engine compartment sorted and actually even started the first time the car, well, started multiple times, fixed issues. There's 0 leaks, everything works. It's just the I have to tune this engine naturally next because it's still on an aftermarket ECU and it hasn't been tuned. So let me give you a run through of the setup that I have right now. So as you can see, everything is hooked up. The coolant system is only filled with water. I'll explain it to you later. I have an engine cooler on the front, which is connected to the front like this. I still need to make a small bracket under there, and it's coming through a thermostat there. I checked that everything works as they are supposed to, and actually the oil temperatures are keeping very low at the moment and the oil pressure very high, so I hope that it settles on the track so that the oil can reach its natural and the optimum viscosity. But anyways, I have the oil filter now located here. Everything, like I said, works. I have the external wastegate here, a dump pipe, a screamer pipe going under the car like this, and another wastegate over there which controls the pressure together. This is not hooked up quite yet, but I have everything that it needs over here, because the pressure side, the wastegate operating side, goes right here, and I need to just connect this to under the wastegate right here. Now all the electronics are sorted out from the engine bay. Only this is still hanging over here because I'm building a push start button to as an extra. I'm still able to turn it from the key, the ignition, and start it or crank it, but I'm still gonna make a press start for an extra. No reason, just because race car. And on the inside I still have some wiring to do, and in the trunk I'm locating my fuel fuel pump electronics to connect directly from the battery to the fuel pump, so that it loses less, as minimum as possible, the voltage from the battery when it's giving the fuel pump everything that it gets. So I'm just putting a relay over here, directly over there, and taking the direct voltage for the fuel pump directly from the battery. So that's what's going on here. By the way, if you're wondering why I pulled these oil lines like this over the bash bar and everything, it's because I didn't have the 90-degree fittings for the AN lines, so I just did this kind of mock-up without the bumper, and it's just to prove that the concept works. Now I ordered the AN 90-degree fittings, so I can build the oil lines to go under the bonnet and under the bumper also very nicely. And I have a new air filter also here for a 4-inch intake, and there's no piping at all here, no MAF sensors or anything, so this works very well. And this one I also did myself, the air filter for the idle control valve. As you can see, there's just a metal steel mesh inside, and that's like a motorcycle air filter gas material that you can cut off by yourself, connect it over there, and it breathes naturally from there. And then there's a one-way valve in between the idle valve control, I mean idle control valve and intake, so that when the engine hits boost, this doesn't have to close even manually, even though it's electronically closed when you hit the boost, but the one-way valve closes it even faster and more reliably. So if this ever goes to any kind of fault state, or the magnet within stays open, the one-way valve will never release boost pressure outside, so it will hold boost that way. One thing I also want to show you is that I ordered these lips for the wheels that I have. For these 3-spoke wheels that I have, I ordered these lips. They are massive, and these are completely custom lips now that I ordered from SRR hardware from the Great Britain, or whatever country you call it, England. And I'm gonna build these to be the 17-inch wheels to the Nissan later, but naturally I have to first scrape all the old paint out and polish these and assemble the wheels. But these are gonna be great, and I can tell you, these lips were extremely expensive to my taste. I've never spent any money on a set of lips like this, so these are gonna be awesome. Okay, it's once again it's looking terrible, but don't worry, this is all under control. Now we've got electronics so everything is working, everything is running, even the fan for inside, even the stereo, all the lights and everything is working, and we're trying still. So I'm trying stuff like the aux inputs. So this is the fuel pump, like we can test it from here. I don't know if you can hear it, but it works. Main relay, it's located under the dash here, so working also. And I have tested like the fan output also here. It says 90 degrees, and when we put inverted output, the fan kicks in. So I think we are ready to start this thing with the new electronics. Everything is hooked up, everything should work, so let's try. Nope. So what is it not getting? Let's first make this permanent, like so. Once again. And let's check the aux 3, aux 6. Let's try once again. Okay. Yep, it's running. All the relays click correctly, and the idle control is still a bit hazy to me. So for some reason this thing is running super low RPM with the idle control. I don't know why, but I'm not getting these settings right, and as you can see there are a bunch. So all of these have something to do with the idle, but let's see if we can. Okay. Okay, now it's running. The tacho is for some reason going wild. It used to work. Stepper 2 used to be for, or still is for the tachometer. I don't know why it's not working. Maybe we can fix it later. But anyways, it's working now. The belt squeaks for some reason. Okay. There is still something wrong with it because it doesn't act correctly from the throttle. But never mind. So one thing I wanted to do now is to clean the coolant system. This is the old thermostat, and as you can see there is still a bunch of rust in the system. I don't like rust anywhere, so I ordered a new OEM Nissan part. This is a RB thermostat. It's meant to open at 76.5 degrees Celsius, and I tested this with boiling water many times that it actually opens, and this is a OEM Nissan part. So first, before I install this, there's no thermostat by the way there right now. I took that one out. It's just filled with water. But now I'm gonna use this. This is citric acid, and I'm gonna put citric acid into the cooling system and run it for say an hour, and then let it sit for an hour and then drain it. Then I'm gonna put just run water through the system just once, very shortly, just to get rid of all the debris that this thing releases. Drain it, and then put water and this fast flush. So these two chemicals have different pH levels. So this is an acid and this is alkaline, and this will neutralize everything that is left from the acids, and this will also get rid of all what's left if there's any debris, any kind of other kind of system, or any kind of dirt that is still within the system. So I'm gonna run this through, then I'm gonna run once more water, and then finally I'm gonna put the thermostat in and put some nice BASF Extreme G48. So this stuff, this is the best coolant for this engine to my taste. This is a hybrid, so HOAS, hybrid organic acid system coolant, antifreeze and coolant concentrate, and I'm gonna use this with distilled water. So let's get to the cleaning the coolant system. Okay, I let the car idle for over a half an hour with these citric acids inside the system. I can let it sit more. It doesn't harm the engine, it just cleans it up maybe a little more. So I'll maybe let it just cool off, say an hour here, and then come back and drain it and see what kind of sludge comes out. Okay, I'm running a second batch of water through the coolant system. The first batch, actually when it came out, it was almost completely clean. It was very clear. I could see through it. It was not brown at all. There was a little bit of residue from the old coolant, which made it like a shallow blue color, but it was very clean. So I guess I tried to clean the system already last year, but I thought that there was still a lot of rust left over, but apparently there's not. So now I'm just running maybe 2 or 3 times just water through the system to clear as much as I can from the citric acid, and then I'm gonna put the coolant flush stuff, the cleaning agent in, and maybe leave it even overnight, and tomorrow drain it and put the thermostat there and everything. But I'm pleasantly surprised. Right, it's the next day. I flushed the coolant system about 10 times, actually 10 times, with water and these different kinds of solutions. And now I'm removing the thermostat housing, and I got my little helper here. It doesn't want to focus. There we go. Siru, tuu tänne. She's my little darling. Yeah, she's helping me with these cars. So I got the thermostat housing removed actually at the moment. It was a pain in the ass to do at the first time, but since I've done this about 17 million times now, it becomes rather easy already. So the thermostat housing is right here, and I'm going to put the thermostat now in and fill it with the correct coolant and see that it works correctly. So right now the car is just idling with the thermostat in place, and I filled the coolant system with just plain water just to see that the system works correctly and that the thermostat housing doesn't leak. And after that I'm just going to drain it once more and fill it with coolant, the correct coolant. But right now we're just waiting for this temperature to rise, and to see if your thermostat really works, it's very easy. If this number never comes down with any tricks, your thermostat is not opening. So we want to see this thing go down, and I want to see the first of all, it's gonna open at 76.5, so around 75-80 I want to see this also drop down, because there's gonna be a lot more fluids going through the thermostat when it opens. And then when this reaches about 90, the fan should kick in and cool the system very quickly down to 85. And if that doesn't happen, then your thermostat doesn't work. So if your thermostat doesn't open, the temperature just keeps rising and rising and rising. Even though the fans kick in and everything you do, it doesn't affect the temperature here. So we're just gonna wait and see if it works correctly now. So it doesn't really want to go over 80 at the moment, which is naturally a good sign. I think that you can already make a direct logic from there that the thermostat actually works, because the car doesn't want to go over 80. So the car doesn't really want to go over 80 at the moment on idle. Actually, the temperature is already dropping down at 80 degrees, which refers to me that the thermostat has opened, and now it's rotating all the fluid at the same time with the thermostat open, and there's just too much cooling at the moment for this engine, only just on idle, so it's not going to reach the temperatures as it did before. So I might have to give it a bit of rev to heat up the engine more than it does on idle. But so far, as I'm looking at the temperature gauge, it doesn't go over 80 at all. So it's a good thing, naturally, because I want this car to stay cool when driving on the track, and now it has all the cooling capacity in the world, and even the oil pressure is much higher than it used to be. So this car is keeping cool very efficiently, and it's ready for track, definitely ready for track, and especially after a good tune it will be even more ready. Right, after testing, it's safe to say that the system works perfectly now. The fan kicks in, as you can hear. And it cools it very quickly down to the operating temperature. So I guess that's it for today. I'm not gonna make this video any longer now. But did you notice I put on new taillights? Yeah. So, thank you for watching and have a nice day.